Welcome back to the 6th Gear Garage. Today I'm reviewing this ARC Captain MIG 200 welder and looking at all of its components and features. And then we'll see how it does welding the frame of one of my project trucks. But first, let me show you what's in the box and then we'll get it set up for MIG welding. So here is everything that's included with the MIG 200 by ARC Captain. This unit is 110 and 220 volt capable. There's a gas line in case you want to use gas, which I will be. If I ever need to do any stick welding, it comes with an electrode holder. There's a bag of extra parts here. Looks like some spare tips, different tips, and some more drive wheels for different wire, ground cable. And here's the MIG welding gun, aka torch, that feeds the wire. I'll be using this today. And this comes with a very helpful instruction manual that I've read through. It has a lot of features to learn. And then I got some extra accessories, one of which is a TIG torch. I've never done any kind of TIG welding in my life, only MIG, ARC, and oxyacetylene. So this is something I'll have to practice over time. Got a new welding helmet, and it's very comfortable. My old one's getting kind of beat up, and now I'll have a spare so my son can watch me weld. And a 2-pound spool of flux core, which will definitely come in useful at some point. Although I won't use this today because I'm using gas. And here is the wire, regulator, and gas I'll be using. 10-pound spool of 30 thousandths solid wire. I already had this regulator from my old MIG welder, so I didn't need to buy one. I'll just connect it to the gas line. And I already had some C25 gas from my old MIG welder. And C25 is a 75% argon, 25% CO2 mix for MIG welding steel. Now I installed a 220 outlet in my garage a few years ago. However, it's for this compressor, which is like 30 years old. And the compressor has this style plug, which is not that common. And here's the plug for the welder. So I found this on Amazon. I call it the biggest, blackest adapter. And this will allow me to plug the welder into the outlet. And ARC Captain also includes an adapter to allow the welder to plug into a 110 volt outlet. So if you don't have a 220 around, you can use a regular outlet. So to set this up for MIG welding, take the cable on the front and insert it into the positive terminal. Just twist to lock it in. And now for the torch, I'm just going to line all these up and spin to tighten it. And then the ground cable, it's going to go in the negative. The torch already has a 30 thousandths tip installed, but you can see ARC Captain also included a 35 thousandths as well as another 30 thousandths tip. Let's take a look inside the welder, which is very lightweight, lighter than I would have expected. ARC Captain made it really simple with this quick reference chart for every setup. First, let's check out the drive wheels. These are the two extras. Let's see what's already installed. This one is 1.0, or the other side is 0.8. And that V is for V-groove. So let's see. We also have a U-groove, and that's 30 thousandths. So to figure out which drive wheel I need, wire size is 30 thousandths, aka 0.8 millimeter. So on the chart here, I'm using argon CO2 mix, and my wire is 0.8 millimeter. So V-groove, exactly what was already in there. And moving across the chart here, they list the voltage and wire speed for different thicknesses of metal. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 millimeters thick. So there's no guesswork. So I'll put this guy back on. Now each wheel has 2 grooves. So I want to make sure the one that I want to use faces the inside so that the 0.8 millimeter groove is in line with the wire feed. And there's another spare one on there. Nice. This welder can accept 2 or 10-pound wire spools. So I just picked up this 10-pounder from Napa. Don't unravel. Get it started in there. Plug the welder into Big Black and Big Black into the outlet. Wait a few seconds for the fan to kick off. So this is the MIG operation selection. Right now it's on 2T mode, which means it's only welding while I'm holding the trigger down. This is 4T mode, which means it starts welding when I press the trigger and keeps going after I release it. Then if I press the trigger again, the welder stops, I think. And that's spot welding. And I'm going with 2T since it's what I'm used to. And that's about it. I'm ready to MIG weld. The project that I'm working on right now is cutting and installing a mini notch into a truck frame to allow for additional suspension travel. I have a less powerful 110 volt MIG that I used in the past on a different truck frame, and even on its most powerful setting was barely enough to get decent penetration. That was only 1/8 inch steel, and this mini notch is about 3/16, so it was definitely time for a more powerful welder. Once I had the notch cut out and cleaned up, I did one last test fit. Then I cleaned up the brace and got it clamped in place, and measured the thickness of the brace, about 4 millimeters, and checked back to the chart on the door of the welder to see that the C25 gas I was using, plus the 0.8 millimeter wire, plus the 4 millimeter thickness of the metal, meant that I need a voltage setting of 24.5 and a wire speed of 14.5. So 24.5 for the power, and 14, well, it won't go higher than 14 for some reason. So I guess I'll try that. One bad thing about my old MIG was that you only had 4 settings for power. One was too much and one wasn't enough. Too bad, you had to pick one or the other. I really like that I can fine tune the settings for the MIG 200, and the digital display is easy to read as well. I'm using gas instead of flex core to avoid splatter on the rest of the painted frame and axle. But I'm still using a welding blanket because I'm by no means a professional welder. I'm just a guy restoring and building old trucks in his garage. Start off with a couple tacks. Here's some slow motion for all the pros to watch and let me know what I could be doing better. I've used a MIG plenty of times before, but never anything this powerful. Not gonna lie, I only practiced on a piece of scrap metal for maybe 30 seconds. With so much more power, this was effortless. This is so much easier than working with a welder that is underpowered for the job. Next, I cleaned it up with the wire brush, and then a smaller wire wheel for the tight areas. And here's the final product. So there you go. Not only does the Art Captain MIG 200 give you a variety of welding options, it's also very easy to use and very affordable. I'll put a link down in the description, as well as an additional code to get you 5% off of your order. I'm going to get back to work on the other half of this frame. Thanks for watching.